my swim time. Gonna bust up your behind. This is my swim time. Gonna mess up your whole mind. This is my swim time. Gonna bust up your behind. This is my swim time. Gonna mess up your whole mind.
Welcome to Work the Left Side. I'm hyped to announce tonight's guest. She is Leonie Rose with 2 belts. Was 3, down to 2. That's still very, very cool. How are we doing?
I'm not bad, thank you. How are you?
I'm all good, 5 by 5. Too blessed to be stressed, as the saying goes. Yeah, I mean, obviously, in the intro, I was all ready to hype it up. I was going to be like, 3 belts. And then obviously we had a quick chat before I hit record. And he told me, I was like, oh no. But, 2 belts is still very, very cool. And I'm sure you'll get the 3rd belt back again at some point. That UKW belt will come back home.
Fingers crossed. I've got a match for it at the end of the month, actually. Maybe in a week and a half, 2 weeks.
There you go. Bosh. Who's it up against? Just out of curiosity, just so we can hype it a little bit.
She's called Joe Ashlyn. She's a bitch. She crossed my knee. That's how I lost the UKW title. I'd done a match on the Friday, offered to do a tag match on the pre-show of the Saturday show, and then had my match, and she bust my leg.
Wow. So basically taking advantage of a situation of you just being like, knackered, actually working like a workhorse and then coming into it. And then she took advantage and took your belt.
She did. But I am not the Iron Woman of UKW for no reason.
As I say, I will bet my house on it. It's rented, so I shouldn't really do that because it's not really my house. But you will get that belt back. So I'm just guarantee. It's a work the left side guarantee at some point. So put the time span on it. Might be in a few days, might be in a few months, but at some point that belt's coming home. So, obviously, I was on about cats before, and I said, sorry, people watching was talking about, cats might make an appearance before I hit record. I was like, my cat's learning its lesson. Apparently, it's just curls and chaos in this corner of the house at the minute. So apologies, I've just kind of been distracted by a little ginger twat. So, but back to you. I saw you at Tidal recently. How cool was that? Did you enjoy the whole parish experience?
Yeah, it was so amazing to be back because I'm from Huddersfield.
Yeah.
So it was amazing to be able to wrestle. I think that was like one of my main goals was to be able to wrestle in Huddersfield. And I couldn't quite, but the first time I was there, I was full of cold. I was so nervous and I couldn't believe that I'd got on Tidal.
It was awesome. It was a good match as well. Cause it's just kind of like, not only I saw you there, and then I saw you at True Grit, like literally a few weeks later as well. So you had anybody who knows the show knows our connection with Tidal and True Grit and how highly I regard both promotions. So for me to see you on both of those shows, I was like, yes. I mean, I was hyped, sort of thing, because it's not besmirching anyone else. You've got belts elsewhere, you're elevation champions. So, I mean, you work at amazing places. Mm-hmm. But in my book, to see you at Tidal and True Grit, I was just really, really happy about it.
Yeah, they're definitely like the bigger promotions of the UK. But fun fact about the True Grit one, I didn't get messaged until the day before. I think Lana had pulled out and I was on a UK debut show on the Friday. So I messaged them like, I know I've already said yes and I don't want to let anyone down, but Tidal have messaged me asking if I can be on the show, and they managed to rejig the card a little bit so I could go on later. So as soon as I finished my match at Tidal, ran back to the changing room, ordered an Uber, went straight to UKW and did a match there.
Nice. It was the True Grit one, wasn't it? It was you used Laura Austin's replacement against ZZ. And that was a match where, because ZZ's one of these people, she's getting pushed to the moon by like True Grit. She's going through like Lizzie Evo and all these kind of big names. And then, in the ring with you as well. And you kind of, you more than held your own. It was a very back and forth match. Again, I think the fans just like, I like to listen to people like at the intermission or after, then like listen to what they're talking about, what matches kind of, they're talking about and what they remember. And yeah, your name was popping up. I was on a few people's lips, and there's like, yeah, that Leonie Rose versus ZZ match, very, very
Oh,
cool.
yeah.
It was unexpected, and they didn't know what to expect. It was just like, yeah, man, that was awesome. So
It's amazing. Well, thank
good
you,
job.
everyone. I was heel as well, so that's good that people still liked me after being a bit of a cowardly heel.
There we go. Sorry, apologies, but he wants to make a cameo. There he is.
We're matched
little-
with the same hair colour.
Oh, he's finished causing chaos now. He wants to come down here. But yeah, that's the thing. Obviously, obviously more wrestling than I do, but the good guy's only as good as the bad guy. If you want to get the good guy over as an out and out face, you need a heelish heel to do their job, which is again, you play heel very well. You kind of, when you're at Huddersfield, obviously, you like to say that's your hometown. You're kind of working that. Again, with the Tidal crowd, a lot of it's in Huddersfield, but a lot of the Tidal crowd are Leeds based, so you can kind of go both ways. But obviously at True Grit, it was like you was just out and out heel, and after everybody lapped it up, and you absolutely smashed it. So fingers crossed, based on that, you'll be back at True Grit before too long.
Yeah, fingers crossed. And being a heel as well, it's so much fun.
I was going to ask, because obviously that's like one of the generic questions. I don't really like generic questions, but every now and again they've got to be asked. But I'm always curious as to when people work face and they work heel. A lot of people do, depending on what promotion you're in, you can go either way. The question is, like, what do you prefer? What's easier? And the majority of people say it's easier to be a heel, just because it's human nature. It's a lot easier to get people to boo you than it is to kind of like you.
Yeah. No, I think I agree to an extent, because I started off as a heel for the first 3 years of my career at UKW. And then, funnily enough, I believe it was BlackHeart that gave me like my second outside booking, but they were the ones that wanted me face. And I was like, oh, I don't know how to do that. But because of that, it kind of made me think more about being a face, to the point now where I'm a heel and I'm like, I don't know how to be a heel. But it's good that you're able to do both, because then you can understand one role whilst you're doing the other kind of thing.
Do you kind of find that again, that's another thing that kind of interests me when people, do switch around, is the moveset, the psychology kind of thing. Are you of the kind of logic of, if I'm working heel, I can't do these moves because I shouldn't really be popping the audience? Or is it just a case of like, fuck them, I'm going to do the moves anyway. If they pop, you know what I mean, I'll just stick my middle fingers up and be like, no, you don't deserve to get, pop at me kind of thing.
I think it could be a mixture of both. But when I do work heat, I try and slow it down a lot more and make it look a bit more vicious as opposed to fast and flashy as a face. And if people do cheer something, I'll be like, look, these fans know you lot are all idiots. These ones are correct. So there's ways you can like spin it either way.
That's it. And again, I suppose that comes with experience, because obviously when you're first starting, you're not going to know to do that. You're not going to have that mindset of being like, I could imagine it being quite daunting, right? If somebody cheers something and you're like, no, you meant to boo me. No, don't cheer me. Oh crap, I'm doing something wrong. But as you build that confidence, as you build that experience, like you said, you can turn it on its head, and you just use a few cheers to piss everybody else off.
Pretty much. I like trying to piss people off.
That's awesome. Right, we've kind of talked. We've gone back a few years in a few cases. We'll get the generic question asked and answered. So obviously, I always forewarn people, this is the one sort of generic question I have to ask, because people are interested. For people watching this who aren't into wrestling, who want to get into wrestling, or kind of want to know the ways that they can get into it, or why they should do it. What kind of made you take those first steps? Was you a fan from as young as you can remember? Again, I've had people say they did it as a drunken bet, or, they went along with a mate to keep them company and then they kind of got roped into it. What was it that kind of made you take those first steps?
Well, we used to, me and my family used to watch it when I was younger. We used to go on holiday quite a lot. And, when you have got flights at like 8 a.m, you'd be up at 2 for the taxi or whatever. It'd always be on, and I remember Stone Cold and Shawn Michaels. But then because my family stopped watching it, I stopped watching it. And I didn't get back into it until Daniel Bryan's retirement from WWE. So there's like a big a big gap that I didn't see. But we started watching it every Sunday, with Sunday dinner, and I was like, oh, that seems fun. I watched so then my little sister got involved into it. She wanted to be like a diva, but then she grazed it like, I've got a graze on my elbow. She got the same thing, and because it bled, she was like, oh, yeah, this is a bit more aggressive than I thought it'd be. But because I'd been to a show, I remember watching it. I remember thinking that'd be so much fun. I'd love to do that. And I used to do martial arts. I got my black belt in Tang Soo Do, and life circumstances weren't right. But I sorted myself out. I moved out pretty close to where UKW is, got in touch and turned up for exercise. And here I am 6 years later.
Wow, that's crazy. But right, okay, obvious question. Again, anybody who's watched the episodes before and heard you just say what you said, they've got to be like, crap, right, we know what's coming next. Again, people who did sort of martial arts before they got into wrestling, again, to me, that's an obvious transition kind of thing. You know, I think a lot of people say it helps them when they do start wrestling because your footwork's a little bit better than other people's. You kind of got that feel of transitioning, you know, between moves, throws, what to do with your feet. Like if, you know, more than Joe Bloggs who just came in off the street and stood there and be like, crap, what do I do? You can kind of like, you got that little bit of, right, okay, I know how to move. Did you find it did help?
A little bit. I think I was taking like stalling suplexes in like my third session and was able to hold myself up with my core and everything. So I think so, but I don't think I utilised the martial arts until about a year or two ago. I didn't think for some reason in my head, oh, I can use moves that I did in martial arts in wrestling. So that's what I've started to do a bit more now.
Nice. Well, that's it. Because yeah, I mean the crossover. Obviously, yeah, it's not as obvious back in the day because it wasn't a big thing, you know, several years ago. But over the last couple of years, like that whole MMA, strong style, you know, you see guys like Lou Nixon, Joe Wade, Vuzic, you know, it's got very obvious martial arts background, working that into the matches, and just the kicks and the knee strikes, like, and as fans, you know, we always pop for it. So you get that in there, it's like, and you don't see many lasses, many, you know, women sort of doing it. So that would definitely make you stand out.
Yeah, I'm known now around the area for my kicks. I always get people going, do they hurt? Just find out. They don't, by the way. I've never had any complaints.
You work safe.
Yes.
It's not safe, yes. Well, that's it, because, again, you know, it's making that, because that's another thing that kind of like, you know, I can say it can be like a massive help, you know, it kind of like puts you like at a slight advantage. But then on the flip side, it's, you know, if you're going from like a martial arts background when you're sparring and stuff and you're literally going hell for leather, you've got to, and you've then got to learn to rein it in, which other people don't have to do. So it's a pros and cons situation, I guess, because you want to just kick somebody, you're like, well, no, you know, it's not legit. I don't actually really want to kick somebody. I just kind of want to make it look like I am.
Yeah, you've got to be able to control yourself. But luckily, the martial art I did was self-defense. So because it was from South Korea, it was never about let's hit each other as hard as we can. It was, if you're in a situation, here's how you protect yourself.
Yeah, okay, cool. Using their speed and momentum against them, all that kind of sort of stuff.
Yeah, knowing how to block and dodge and stuff like that.
Nice. So we mentioned before at the start of the episode, well, obviously, you know, you said, sorry, just to rewind a little bit. So, you know, you kind of got into it UKW. I've spoken to numerous people, you know, where I've come through sort of UKW's doors. I had, you know, Mo on from NRG several months ago. You know, I saw when I was looking through like your Instagram, you know, I saw you and Mo and in sessions, kind of like, I presume it was at UKW. So I know that's where your sort of paths crossed. Obviously, we had Horace on last week, you know, he's a UKW dude. And then you say, yeah, BlackHeart. So I know a lot of people, when I had Henry Winter on, you know, he sort of said they worked very closely with UKW. There's a lot of guys, you know, people thought they kind of had this rivalry, but it's like, no, you know, we actually still work really closely together kind of thing. You know, we kind of use a lot of talent from there. And that's kind of like, you know, partly their school, you know, they pull people from UKW to put them on the shows. So It must be cool to get that outside booking. Even though it was BlackHeart and it's kind of an association, it's still another promotion that's taking that trust, and you know they're paying you money to be like, yeah, come help us out.
No, it is. It's really cool. Well, my first outside booking from UKW was, funnily enough, Elevation, and it was about 3 years ago. And they did 2 shows there, and I was a heel. And then BlackHeart asked me, and then GTM, which is now Kingdom, asked me, and then it just kind of like snowballed from there.
That's awesome, because I was like, yeah, Elevation was going to come up at some point, because I mentioned it again, at the start. The belts that you held, the UKW and Kingdom, which we'll get to at some point, because as I said with Sammy, I like Gaz. Gaz is awesome. We've had Gaz on the show before. So again, same with BlackHeart. Anytime I get to shout out certain promotions, I'm always going to do it, and Kingdom's one of those promotions. Now we'll talk about them in a minute. But Elevation, that is just, I was, hyping that up before we hit record. For me, that's an amazing belt. Not to besmirch the UKW or the Kingdom belt, so they're awesome. But this is Elevation. This is Joseph Connor's, factory. This is, he's the man who makes the choices, I presume. And obviously there's probably other people involved as well. But for me, he's the one where the buck stops. It's Joseph Connor's thing. And for him to see in you and be like, yep, I want to put the belt on you. That's validation. That's just, it doesn't get much better than that in the UK scene.
No, I couldn't believe it. It was someone that I used to watch on like YouTube and stuff like that. And he did some seminars at UKW, so I trained under him a couple of times. So then to be able to, because I was just grateful to even be on the shows. As you said, it's Joseph Connor's show. So I was like, oh my gosh, as if he's booking me. And then when he put the title on me, because it wasn't actually meant to happen. It was me and Ivy was booked to win. So we'd done the match and there were meant to be shenanigans afterwards, and it got changed in the moment. So I laid there like, she's beat me up, and it got switched in the moment. And I couldn't believe it. It was like the worst RKO I ever hit in my life. The belt like flicked up and got me in the eye. I had a big black eye from it, but it was absolutely amazing.
But you still got the belt. That's the thing, though. Like, and then, talk about Elevation. I mean, as you sort of said, going up against Ivy. I mentioned, ZZ beforehand. How she's been going through people. Obviously, she had a massive feud with Ivy going on at the time in True Grit. But then again, you're going up against Ivy as well, and for me, she's like one of the best in the country, kind of thing. Sad to see her leave True Grit. I will leave professional wrestling for a little while from what I'm hearing, because Ivy was boss, and for you to get in the ring with her and for them to be like, just have that faith in you is, again, for me, if I was you, I'd just be like, oh my god, I'd just be sat there like, pat my back.
Yeah, it don't feel real sometimes. Ivy was someone I watched over lockdown, because my first year I watched my matches back and they're not that good, and I'm like, no one ever watched these. So over lockdown, I was like, right, I need to watch the women on the scene to see what they're doing, to know what I need to do, kind of thing. And Ivy and Lana and Alexis Falcon were some of them that I watched.
That's it. Well, again, another promotion. I mean, it's not just in Elevation. Again, I was looking through matches that have been on, show posters and stuff like that, and wrestling in Newcastle. There's the post. You against Ivy, up north, even further north than we are, kind of thing. But again, that's obviously word of mouth. They trust you, they trust her, and they know that you two can put a good match on together.
Mm-hmm. That was another daunting place. I went up to Rampage and I was like, I'm so nervous. And it was like, why? It's all the same when you're in the ring. And I'm like, it's not beforehand there.
Because obviously, we've had Benji on. Again, I was looking at that Wrestling in Newcastle card and I was just like, that is, for me, it was possibly, the best show ever for like £10 a ticket. I defy anyone to show me a wrestling show that stacked, that much talent on it for a tenner. I was like, that's this is the best show ever for £10. And and you were on there, kind of thing. You were. It's not like they had a couple of big names on and then just lots of other people. Every single that card was just had talent everywhere on it. You've got to be of a certain caliber, so you don't stick out like a sore thumb. Which you don't. You and Ivy fit perfectly on that poster.
I appreciate that. It's always something I'm worried about. I don't know if it's something every wrestler gets, but imposter syndrome. You're like, oh no, I'm not good enough. I shouldn't be here. and people are so supportive and they're so nice around you as well. And I always get people telling me to believe in myself more, so I appreciate that from them.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I know what it's like, not just in wrestling, but in various walks of life kind of thing. It sounds very reverent. I'm exactly the same. I mean, you can you could hear one nice thing, you're like, oh, cool. Sorry, you could hear 100 nice things, and it's like, oh, okay, cool. You hear that one bad thing, and that's what fucking sticks out, and that's what grates on you, and that's what you kind of focus on. So, but yeah, it's always nice to get that positive reinforcement, and it's why I try to hype everybody up, because it's you guys. I wouldn't be talking to you if I didn't want you on the show, or if I wasn't impressed with what I saw. I don't talk to people for the sake of talking to them. I talk to them because I'm fans of everybody that I have on the show. So, what was Newcastle like though? Because to me, that is, that's kind of like the Mecca. As much as I love Yorkshire wrestling, and everyone, I've always got a soft spot for the Newcastle scene. It just seems crazy. The fans there, the audience, the whole atmosphere. It's just, oh.
No, it was. I think there was 300 people there. So walking out of the curtain, I was like, oh, this is a lot of people. I remember the venue being absolutely boiling as well. Walking out and being like, oh, I'm going to die. But again, everyone was really supportive. When you go to shows like that, not knocking any of the other companies I work for, but you can tell a difference in the atmosphere backstage and how people are talking, just it's the next step up kind of thing. So it's really cool to be around that and pick up advice from people like that as well.
That's it. I mean, like you sort of said, a couple of minutes ago, just casually, just sat there talking with Rampage. This is Rampage Brown, for God's sake. Again, anybody who knows me, he is my all-time favorite ever. He's my number one. He's the Obi-Wan of British wrestling kind of thing. You know what I mean? So for you to just be like, yeah, just sat there talking with Rampage, I'm just like,
it sounds dead casual, but in my head, speaking to him, oh my God, I'm talking to Rampage.
That's it, though. But you've got that opportunity, and then you just kind of. I know what you're saying with the imposter syndrome, and I get it, but you've got to be to a certain point where you're just looking around you and being like, they wouldn't let me be here if I didn't deserve to be here.
Yeah, and that's always something I say to myself in my head as well. To stop those thoughts. I'm well, they won't book you if they thought you were terrible. It wouldn't be good. It wouldn't be good business, first of all. So just believe in yourself and relish every moment.
Right. But that's amazing. But I mean, obviously, hopefully, it went well. I'm waiting to. I've seen clips. The clips, the match looked awesome. The fans looked totally into it, kind of thing. Again, that it's one of those places where if you can start, just regularly, be going up there, that's how you sort of, that's how you make the name for yourself. That's how you kind of squash the doubts. I mean, you start regularly getting booked in places like Wrestling in Newcastle, True Grit, Tidal. Again, like we say, I'm not besmirching UKW, not besmirching Kingdom or BlackHeart or anything like that. James will admit, people kind of know where they're positioned, and you do elevate yourself up in the business kind of thing. You go from, it's kind of like trying to say the nice way of going from smaller promotions to bigger promotions to bigger promotions to huger promotions without insulting the smaller ones, because it's not an insult. It's just
working harder, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And everybody, I think from everybody I've spoken to about it, they're all kind of cool and yeah, no, we know what we are. We know we're good. This is what we do. This is what we want to do, and we achieve it. So they're happy with that. Yeah, you are climbing the ladder. I say for me, Tidal, True Grit, Wrestling in Newcastle, Elevation. This is just, it's a crazy journey you're on.
No, it didn't feel real sometimes. Funnily enough, though, I had a BlackHeart show on my Tidal debut, and I messaged James and Lawrence being like, I know I've already said yes. If there's any way to work around it, Tidal have offered me the opportunity. And they were like, no, go for it. Go work for Tidal, as long as you don't forget about us.
Forget about the little people. I think as well, because, as great as that is, you've kind of got that sort of loyalty and that love. Again, as I say, I was speaking to Sammy the other day. I've had, Gung Ho on, we've had Ash, Henry Winter, Jepson, Billy, J-Ro, I've had all those guys on the show, and it's nothing but love for BlackHeart kind of thing. It just seems like, as soon as everybody gets in that locker room, it's such like a dysfunctional family, but there's so much love and just fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always fun to be at BlackHeart. The other week at the show, there were 6 of us carrying a board that was probably like this big, saying how heavy the board was. Just a bunch of delinquents, really.
That's the thing. I mean, again, like I said, you're on this journey, but it's these little moments I can only presume that will just make you kind of stop and smile and enjoy what you're doing. As great as the big ones are. It's the people you kind of train with, or the people you work with on a regular basis, that kind of keep you grounded but elevate you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree.
Yeah, you don't want to get too big for your boots, because you've always got somewhere to go back to, in like you say, your kingdoms, your BlackHearts, your elevations. I want to talk. Well, we'll talk kingdom, because again, you champ there, you top dog kind of thing. So again, I'm always curious with belts. People, again, it's a 2 mindset situation when it comes to wrestling and when it comes to belts. Some people are just like, man, it's just a prop, it don't mean anything, it's just there to advance the storyline. Where I'm always kind of like, I've always thought of it, when somebody gets a belt, you get a promotion, you're getting like, it's like them saying, well done, we believe in you, here's a promotion, we want you to run this department for us, basically. You're now in charge of this whole area, and that's what the women's title is.
Mm-hmm. I think I agree with both of those. I know it's a prop in the sense of when you're out in the ring, you're not actually winning it in a way, but it's also nice knowing that the promoter trusts you and has put that on you.
Yeah, you're not winning it, but they wouldn't give it to you unless you deserved it.
Yeah, no, exactly. If they didn't see something in you or didn't trust you to be that character for them.
So that's the thing. Obviously, you kind of got that respect. Do you kind of carry the belt, and do the title matches mean more than just the normal matches? Because obviously there should be more eyes on it. It kind of. Do you feel the responsibility of like, you're not carrying the match, but you're kind of in charge?
I do. I was going to say I do a little bit, but then thinking about it, yeah, absolutely. I get nervous, like, no matter what I do. If I'm the champion, I'm nervous because I know it's on me to make us both look good and tell the story. And if I'm not champion, but working with someone newer, like at places like UKW, I get nervous because I'm the one looking after them. But then if I work with someone mega experienced, I get nervous because I'm like, they're super experienced. So I think it depends on the match, but definitely title matches. In my head, I'm like, right, I want to make this special, especially because until recently, women's wrestling wasn't really looked at as the same as men's wrestling. I was like going out and thinking, okay, I'm going to put on a show for them all and make this title mean something.
That's it. That's why I kind of, I'm always in 2 minds about just calling it, like the women's title, or I like to say that you've got 2 titles. You are, the champ at a certain promotion. Because it's just, to me, they're both the same now. It doesn't matter whether it's the men's title or the women's title. It's just, you are champion of that division, regardless of who's in that division, kind of thing. So everything's equal. But yeah, that kind of puts the pressure on you to be like, because as much as it sucks, some people do still kind of have that misguided notion of, I don't know, maybe they watched wrestling 10, 15 years ago of what a women's match is. And then you're like, no. I'll show you what a women's match is. And it's like, oh, shit.
That's the best.
You see the faces change.
Say again, sorry.
You can see like the faces change during the match. Like, wow, okay, this is a lot harder, harder hitting than I was expecting.
And I've wrestled the men as well anyway. So I just treat them all the same. Like, oh, you think just because I'm a woman it's going to be terrible? No, watch this, bang.
That's the one. I love that as well, because obviously, a majority of fans now, they know the score. We appreciate everything. Wrestling is just wrestling now, kind of thing. It don't matter, but you can have. I know there's still people there, like, if it's again, you've got to say, any promotion, you've got to cater for 10, 20% of the audience. potentially this being their first ever wrestling show.
Mhm.
So they don't know what to expect. They could have watched wrestling 20 years ago. They've got some sort of mindset, or they think it's going to be this, and then their minds are just like, when you lot are going out there and just freaking tearing it up and just doing move after move after move, strike after strike after strike, and it's like, oh shit, yeah, that's amazing. So I just imagine it being quite satisfying as well.
Yeah, it is absolutely.
So, but well, you said there, you kind of, that's a weird situation for you to be in, because like I said, you've kind of been around now for sort of 6 years, obviously give or take, the global bastards, like people took a year out or 2 years out or whatever. So somewhere like UKW, you're the vet, you're the experienced, person. You're the one somebody I presume they'll come to pick your brain. How do we do this? Could you help us with this? And then you go somewhere else, and then you think of yourself, as that person. You're picking somebody else's brain, or you'll be like, no, they've been around for like 10 years, 15 years. Fuck. So you're kind of in that middle ground now, where it's kind of like, oh shit, what, depending on where you are, it's a totally different environment for you.
Well, I still people said that I shouldn't, but I still see myself as a trainee. So when I go to a place and it's my debut, I'll not even act. I'll be like, I don't know anything. This is a new place. Tell me how it's been run. What do the crowd like? How should we do this? How should we do that? I always ask promoters a lot of questions.
That's not a bad thing though, surely, because that just kind of shows that you're interested. It shows that you care. It shows that you've got that passion for it.
Yeah, I just want to do right by them, especially if it's still the same across every company, but especially like the bigger companies I go to, I want to make sure I'm doing the job right, I ain't let anyone down, and that I'm doing what's asked of me.
Being professional, basically. That's that's what that sounds like to me. You're a professional wrestler, being professional. So when you get booked in places you haven't been before, do you kind of hit up YouTube? Do you kind of see what shows they've got online? Do you kind of look at the audience and kind of see what kind of things they react to? If you're going in as a face or as a heel, be like, right, okay, this is the kind of audience. It's a small audience, or it's a family friendly kind of audience. Or do you do your homework?
I do with my opponents. If I know I've got a woman that I've seen on YouTube and I know I'm facing, I'll watch loads of her matches, and then when I get there, I'll ask a few people's opinion on what's the crowd like, what do they prefer, and stuff like that.
It's again, that's the versatility, of British. It's like we was on about before, some places you'll work face, some places you'll work heel. Every audience, is kind of, it's not every audience is different. You kind of probably got 4 or 5 categories of audiences, like say the smart ones, the family ones, but yeah, kind of knowing, I'm guessing obviously you work to the audience. That's what you guys do, kind of thing. You've got to know what the audience wants to be able to know what you need to do. Do you kind of ham it up if it's a family show? I'm guessing obviously if you're working heel and there's kids there, you can just go up there and go like, just be a total just pantomime heel kind of thing for the kids.
Yeah. No, this is it. Because you can be at a show and have a certain kind of audience and put on this match with 1 million moves, and they won't care about it because it's not what they've wanted to see. Whereas you could go out, do 3 moves, but ham your character up, and it can get a bigger reaction. Yeah, depending on who the audience is. But I always try, regardless if I'm heel or face, try and interact with the audience anyway. Because if it wasn't for them, we'd just look like weirdos in sports hall dancing around half naked.
That's a very valid point, and I have obviously noticed. I've noticed that, like, when you're working at True Grit, because some people doing something. It's a weird. It's like 2 mindsets. Some people just kind of come in, go to the ring, focus on, and they kind of, I don't know, just tunnel vision. Whereas like other people, I clocked it with yourself. You're interacting with the fans. You're getting them engaged. You kind of be like, come on, make some noise, whether it's good noise or bad noise. Just get invested, kind of thing. We want to interact, so come help us out, kind of thing. So I think it's just very cool. Both work, but I always kind of pop a little bit when I see the Joey Slade did it recently when he True Grit. Ed Kenny came out and he was just like, come on, just proper work in the audience. I was just like, yeah, that's cool.
Well, when you think about like the big wrestlers, it's always like The Rock and Stone Cold and Shawn Michaels. And whilst the wrestling was good, you always remember the character more and how they perceived themselves and stuff like that. So I don't think like one's more important than the other, but I think using your psychology with your character to then determine your moves is what helps the audience get involved.
Bang, perfect answer, nail on head. That's the thing, because again, not to keep going on about BlackHeart, but it's the best example I can think of for what you just said. Like where knowing your audience, you could put on a technical masterpiece it's like a I don't know, a game of human chess. Move after move after move after move, and from what I know, the BlackHeart fans would be like, yeah, it was all right. But you do a couple of things, you get them emotionally invested, you hit one or two moves, and if it means something, they're again, not to be smirked, it's a pantomime crowd. I mean, they're there to sort of be like, woo, yay, cheer. They're not there for technical wrestling. They're there for the characters. They're there for the storytelling.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny though, because the most recent BlackHeart show, I turned heel, but because I'd been such a face for so long, they cheered me. I'm panicking. But then I made a little girl cry in the audience, so I might have switched it the other way.
That doesn't make you a heel. Their champion did that a few shows ago, and he's still like the biggest face of the company, but he makes more children cry. So, but no, I think obviously it's probably the initial, like you sort of said, because you were such a face. I think it's that kind of instinct to be like, yay, oh crap, no, oh, right, we'll boo you at the next show. So the next show, the teller, when they come out and they'll be like, they'd be sat there like, boo, boo, boo. They're like, yeah, boo. And then, yeah, I think that's the problem, like, especially with places like that, because they come so conditioned to who they want to cheer for, who they want to boo for. Like, say, when you turn heel, they're still like, yeah, no, I don't know what to do now. So, but
I just done the interval and walked out as a face, and then turned in the match. So next time when I come out, I'll just be like pure bitch mode. Make sure they know.
Yes, that's it. And the thing is, though, knowing that crowd, they'll eat it up and they'll boo you, and they'll be like, "Yes, right now we know we're meant to boo you." It's kind of like they're asking for. They're not sure, they didn't know they had permission to boo you at first. They're kind of like, "Oh, I don't want to upset her, I don't want to offend her," so we're just kind of like, "Yeah." But now you come out and be like, "No, freaking boo me! I'm actually, I'm being a gnarly heel here." And they're like, "Right, we have your permission. Boo, fucking boo, not just boo." Well, it's a kids show, so we'll just say boo.
Yeah, but that's what the adults are saying.
Yes, in the head, they're going, ooh. So going forward, like I said, we'll do a quick shout out, because we mentioned, I can't remember whether I said it on camera before we hit record or after we hit record, but the UKW belt, you've got that coming up in 6th of December. We'll just have a quick chat about that match in case it was before I hit record.
Okay, do you mean the Kingdom belt?
It was the Kingdom belt, not the Kingdom belt. Sorry, that was it. 6th of December. It is against
Kiara.
Yeah, that's it.
And a millionth time facing her, and I'll beat her for the millionth time.
Never gets old. There you go. But there's going to be that one time though where you become complacent, or you get too confident, or maybe just something slips up, and it's like.
It only takes 3 seconds. I'll make sure I've got eyes in like the back of my head and the side of my head and everywhere.
I'm always curious when it comes to people who work at Kingdom. Again, to kind of shout out what they're doing, what they do for the community. Kind of the whole. I've always got to say about Kingdom. It's kind of like it's a 2-hook system. Either the wrestling will hook people into the church, or the church thing will hook people into the wrestling. And hopefully, no matter how you got hooked, you enjoy the show. I know a lot of the guys that are on the show, like awesome talent kind of thing. Joel's there as well. Obviously, Sammy works there. Yourself. How do you kind of? Was it weird? Starting at Kingdom. That whole sort of having a bit of a wrestle, listening to a bit of a. I don't know the correct terminology, but not a seminar, but kind of like I don't know, gospel speak for 5 minutes and then back to wrestling, or was it kind of just a weird thing to get into?
I don't think so. Like, I'm not particularly religious myself or anything, but I'm never going to knock someone for being religious. Like, when I've worked with Kiara before, she's asked me if we can pray before the match, and I'm not going to be that dickhead that's like, no, I'm not doing that. So I'll always sit and pray with them. But I knew that going into it, it was like church wrestling kind of things, but it's each to their own. I just focus on what I'm doing and get really nervous.
I think I just kind of think, because obviously, I'm the same as you. I'm never going to besmirch anyone for, if somebody finds something that makes them happy, that kind of helps them, or gives them inspiration in any way, shape, or form, amazing. It is. If you can find something that makes you happy, Godspeed. Crack on, kind of thing. So there's no judgment. But I can just, like, when you work in those shows, it's just the pressure of. Is it a weird pressure of? They may not be wrestling fans. They may just be there because of the church side of things, and does that make you kind of work a little bit harder, or does it give you a chance to try new stuff because it's a completely clean slate? If these people don't know wrestling, then you can kind of have a bit of fun with it.
Yeah, it's definitely, you can definitely try new things. If I haven't really thought about if they're not wrestling fans as well, because I've been there for like 3 years now. I know them pretty well. But I remember when I first started going there, I always used to try and be outside and talk to them. So even if they weren't into the wrestling, they'd know who I was, kind of thing, and who Leonie Rose was. And I always take a million years on my entrance at Kingdom to make sure I high five everyone and try and interact with people as much as possible. Like, I can see a kid with the hair tied up and be like, "I like you bowing your hair," or something like that. Just something small that they'll remember.
Oh, that's cool. It's probably a very cool place to work face as well. I can imagine it being. It's not somewhere I would want to work as a heel. You don't really want to sort of. It's nice to be nice in places like that, I guess. So, just like you said, just be nice to the kids, nice to the family, and everyone's like, "Oh, she's so lovely. We look. Oh yeah, we'll cheer her. She's adorable. We like her." But yeah, if you was coming out and trying to just insult them, they're like, "No, we don't like no." But you'd be like, do they know it's please don't not like me genuinely. I'm not really that mean. But yeah, it's one of those places where I can see it being a very blurred line.
I remember being in a Rumble once at Kingdom, and it was me and Gaz, and he started hitting me and I hit him back. But because obviously Gaz is like the main guy in Kingdom, like main male babyface, he hit me and got booed.
Yes. That's when you're doing something right, when the main babyface hits you and they get booed and you're like, yes, right, come on. So you could get both belts, you could be like just that total, just the Becky Lynch of Kingdom, just totally run everything.
Sorry guys, I'm taking your job. Heard it here first.
Leonie Rose, the man of Kingdom. That's the but again, it's those moments that just, not to blow smoke or anything, but when you're getting cheered over, like say Gaz, the biggest baby face of, he's like the John Cena of Kingdom kind of thing for a lot of the fans. Again, it's just you're ticking the boxes, you're doing stuff right, you're connecting with the fans, and like you said it earlier, you've got that psychology, how to sort of work the audience to get them behind you, and they're pretty much just like whatever you want them there, they're there. You've got them in the palm of your hands, and they'll just react to every little thing that you do. And stuff like that, you only learn it, with experience, with confidence, So again, you're doing something right.
I appreciate that. You do get fans sometimes though that try and boo you to try and put you off. So then if you just be a heel to them, everyone else laughs, and then you're still a face to them.
So it's the opposite of what we were saying before. Like, so when you're working heel and somebody's trying to cheer you, and you can still use that as heel heat to piss everybody else off. So like, if you're offended, somebody tries to boo you, you're the idiot for, do you not know who I am? I'm awesome. I'm adorable. I'm lovely. You must be silly to try and boo me. It's like, no, I'm not having it. And then everybody else is like, yeah, you're stupid.
No, exactly. I think they were trying to accuse me of cheating and pulling this girl's hair, and I literally had my hands like this, as open as they could be. So I went up to him and was like, "You need to go to Specsavers, look." And everyone else thought it was hilarious.
There you go. And now they're the heel, and you're the
Yeah.
hero. So, but again, I just mentioned that, like, we talked about the psychology kind of thing. That is, to me, one of the, like when you start wrestling, when you're learning, obviously you're learning the fundamentals, the basic, the moves. You kind of, you're developing your character and everything like that. The one thing, again, I'm speaking from, from this side of the curtain, but I can only imagine the psychology, to a match, to telling a story. That is, I can imagine it being the hardest thing, because I can see that not everybody gets it. Not everybody has that psychology. So when I'm speaking to somebody that I know has it, I'm always kind of like, okay, bravo, because to me that's the hardest thing in wrestling to learn. Is it something that you have to, you try and extra hard to kind of get your head around? Does it come naturally? Do you kind of second guess yourself when it comes to the psychology? Because it's a really weird thing for me.
I remember when I started, I remember watching people who got it and being like, "I'm never gonna get it." And then it was like a light bulb went off in my head. But it was one of those where it was like, okay, does this make sense? Why would I do this to you just to do this? Why would we do this just for this kind of thing? It was always like questioning the logic behind stuff. And also I got a degree in forensic psychology, so that could help a little bit. But no, whenever I try and like plan a story, especially if it's more on me than it is a two-way thing to plan a match, I'll always do. So if I recommend something, if I was in the opposite role, I'd still do that, because I'd still think it'd work regardless of what role you're in. Like I had a match at UKW for the television championship against Johan Hunt, and the special guest referee was Chris Castle, and we were a big faction together, and I'd just turned face. Johan was the heel, Chris was in the middle, and I said, because he turned heel on me in the match, and I said, it has to be that I'm this close to winning, and then because you've turned heel, that's what stopped me winning. I look like a strong baby face, you two look like strong knobhead heels, and if it had been the opposite way and I'd have been the heel and he'd have been the face, I'd have recommended the same structure to that finish as well.
Yeah, like I said, that's it. That kind of makes sense. I've heard somebody who's telling me, you're known from BlackHeart, Ian Creed, the guy who plays Ian Creed. It was said to me, that he looks at everything from a character point of view. Like, why does my character do this move? Why would he react, in this way to this move? Everything is questioned when there's a character involved, kind of thing. It's kind of like, I think that's why. Again, I don't know for definite, I'm speculating, but in the last year or so, characters have come back tenfold in British wrestling. It's no longer just, just yourself kind of turned up to 10.5. It's full on 11 now. Characters are everywhere. It's cool to be a character again, kind of thing. And for me, it makes sense, because that kind of gives you that purpose. You can kind of lose yourself in a match and be like, right, why would my character do this? And like I say, that must help with the psychology if you've got a character that you can base it all around.
Yeah, definitely. And anything I'd suggest as well, it's all open to interpretation. So what I think makes sense, someone else might not think that, or they might think of a different way for it to make sense, kind of thing. So the cool thing about wrestling is that we can all collaborate on ideas.
I say a bit of back and forth. Again, to try to go back to give Mr. Connors some flowers. I was talking to a mate who has only recently really got into British wrestling. He knows of everybody around kind of now, and I was hyping up that it was, Joseph Connors versus Spike Trevay at Tidal, at the last Tidal show. I was like, all right, seen Connors, since he went to NXT UK. I'd seen him since he came back. I'm a Nottingham boy at heart, so I saw Connors years ago, kind of thing. And I was just like, oh, I'm really hyped. And he's like, never seen him, not heard of him, kind of thing. I was like, for me, it's like the British Adam Cole. That's the best way I can describe him, kind of thing. I look at Joseph Connors and his mannerisms, the way he works, the way his mind works, the psychological. So like, when you're working at Elevation, do you kind of find yourself just being like picking that brain, or just like, say you originally met him at a seminar, so your first your first port of call was just to get knowledge from him. I presume that's kind of continuing.
Yeah, I sent him off a match and he gave me like 2 Microsoft Word documents of match feedback with like the timestamps and everything. But I love it. Like the super duper little things is what makes like a match look better than just throwing loads of moves together. So I love being like things being picked apart.
Constructive criticism. That's the thing. You can tell me what I'm doing wrong, but be constructive about it and tell me how to, don't just tell me it was shit. Tell me what it was and how I can make it better. And it's that kind of sort of stuff. Like I say, it's the I presume again, everything I say is presumption because just from watching and talking to people, it's the stuff in between the moves that you want to learn, that you want to work on, that makes the difference, makes you stand out from other people. It's like how you move, how you transition.
Yeah. No, this is it. Because if you've got like your basics, that's fine. But if you've got all these little things that are like, I never used to pin people properly because I thought I was massive compared to the girls, which I know looking back's like silly to think about, but it was just one of those things in my head. Didn't pin people properly. I'd like go to forearm and with like that much of a gap between my arm and the chest, and it was those little things. Even though I could do an X Factor or a suplex, right, that was hindering my progress.
Yeah. Oh, painful. Wow, that's a whole. I'm a massive nerd. I'm a massive geek when it comes to like a lot of wrestling stuff, and I read books and I don't listen to many podcasts. I do this. That's enough for me, kind of thing. But the one podcast I kind of made the exception for was William Regal did one a few years ago, and on one of the episodes he spent 40 odd minutes at the start of the episode going on about the importance of a strong looking pinfall. That was it. For the whole 40 minutes I was sat there listening to him and I was like, you've just ruined wrestling for me now, because if I see a pinfall that doesn't look legit, I'm just going to be like, fuck's sake, right, I'm totally out of it now, kind of thing. Because it's those little things where you're trying to convince the fans, like, you really want to win this match. Why are you half-arsing a pinfall? Everything should be like, bang, I need to win this match. I want to win this match, kind of thing. And it just blew my mind.
It's one of Joseph Connor's things as well. I think he said he got trained by Regal, and Regal's thing was pins. So now he passes on information about pins.
That's it. That's the thing. It's like I say, it's when you talk to people like that. I can imagine Rampage being the same. You learn the basics. You can be great, like you said, doing the X Factors, doing moonsaults, doing this, that, and the other, all the flashy stuff. That's amazing. But there's probably a dozen or so people that do these little details in between stuff, like say the pinfalls. And I think even as fans, we don't even realise, but subconsciously we're like, yeah, okay, I noticed that, or I didn't notice that. But we notice it when it doesn't happen. It's like, oh, I didn't like that, but I don't know why I didn't like it, but something didn't quite seem right. And then,
I used to do music, and in front of a crowd in music, they might not know music terms and music stuff, but if you play the wrong chord in a known song, they're gonna know it's the wrong chord.
Yeah, exactly. You just kind of get that look like, no, that wasn't right, and there's something was amiss. I couldn't tell you what it was, but no, it just didn't register.
Didn't feel good.
There's a cheesy line of the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is that little extra. It's just like, it's the stuff like that you do that just makes ordinary things extraordinary. But so obviously we've got the match at Kingdom next month. I've been sat here talking to you. We talked Kingdom, we talked Blackheart, we talked True Grit, we talked Tidal, talked Elevation, wrestling in Newcastle. It sort of seems like over the last year or so, your radius for bookings is expanding, which is awesome. Kudos, because that's quality. Because I keep hearing how one of the most important things in wrestling is networking. So the more shows you're getting booked on, the more people you're meeting, the more hands you're shaking, the more people are being like, okay, right. Got a space on the show? I know who could fill that space.
Yeah, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah. So are you comfortable? Again, I've said it so many times. I would suck as a wrestler because I would go into a venue, I would sit in the locker room, I'd sit in the corner, I'd just be like, "Oh, yeah, I'm not to be rude. I just couldn't physically talk to anyone. I'd be like, nope, not happening." You kind of, I guess you've got to give yourself a kick up the arse and be like, shake the hand, say hi. You physically got to make yourself do it. Whereas I know some people, or just, they're giddy to do it, but I'm kind of getting the vibe where you're just kind of like, I'm not overly comfortable doing it, but I've got to do it.
Yeah, I always think to myself, why would they want to shake my hand? But I know that it's like the respectful thing to do.
Yeah.
So I'm always like, hi, I'm Leonie Rose. I feel really awkward doing this, but nice to meet you. Because I don't want to come across, it's not a rude thing, as you said, it's more like your own internal thing in your head, but you'll come across as rude if you don't go up to people like, hi.
Yeah, no, you hit the nail on the head again, kind of thing. I'd be like, well, I don't want to waste their time. I don't want to insult them by shaking their hand. Why would they want to shake my hand, kind of thing? But again, you've said in this, in this episode before, and the ability to sit down and talk to people, to discuss matches, to be open to ideas, back and forth and stuff like that. That's got to put you in good stead as well, because people are going to want to work with people that they can talk to, that are open to ideas, that are kind of just like, let's brainstorm it, let's see if this works, let's talk about this. So again, as much as I hype up and stuff that you do in the ring, characters and everything like that, I think it's stuff like that as well that is just awesome, and you've got to kind of keep doing it. So you said to make that network.
Yeah, it takes both of you to be in a match. So if your ideas are selfish, it makes you both look bad in the match.
Yeah, I can't imagine it. And it's again, you're doing this because you love wrestling, but you're doing it because it's fun. You want to have fun while you do it. If you come across somebody like that, or you're having to work with somebody like that, just imagine not being a fun day in the office. Just be like,
it can feel very tense, and usually show days go by quite quick. But if you're in a show like that, it can feel like, not that it's dragging, because wrestling's always fun, but you always feel dead on edge and worried about it.
Yeah, kind of second guessing yourself as well, I'm guessing. Because again, I can imagine it being like, oh crap, you kind of blaming yourself or it being your fault, and it's like, just want to do what you do. Are you, again, depending on what promotion you're in, as to whether you've kind of got that, I'm the vet or I'm the trainee mindset? Is it always a case of, grabbing somebody after a match for like 5-10 minutes, talking to them about it? Like, say, getting that Joseph Connors kind of like feedback of being like, look, what was good? Tell me what was wrong so I can improve, kind of thing.
Yeah, I always sit with the person I faced and ask how they felt it went, if they're safe, if everything went okay. And then I'll always go around and ask people for feedback. And I don't think it matters like what level they are in wrestling. Like, I could ask a fan, what do you think of that match? And then ask someone like, oh, here's my cat. This is Ted.
Nice.
Come here, Ted. Do you want to come say hi really quick? Here we go.
Oh.
Pop you down. There's a cameo from Ted. Yeah, I think you learn something from everyone, regardless of like whether they're a fan or somewhat of a locker room leader, because everyone's perspectives is what helps you get like an overall picture in your head.
That's it. Yeah, like I said, again, I hear it all the time. You never sort of stop learning. You've been around for 6 years, you could be around for 10 years. There could be somebody who's just come in and been doing it for a year, but the pennies dropped for them about something a lot quicker than it did with you, kind of thing. Or they can offer a fresh set of eyes on something, and you're like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. So just being open to everybody's sort of interpretation of stuff.
Yeah, and you can listen to feedback and advice and completely not agree with it, and you still go, thank you very much, and keep it in your brain if you need it, but you don't have to listen to it. But usually it's helpful. That's
it. It's not a case of one size fits all. That piece of advice would work for this person. It's not going to work for you. And it's why I said, like I say, if you can get some nuggets out of it, awesome. I guess that's why seminars and stuff. I've got obviously working wrestling in Newcastle. I know Benji was a massive. They always have like seminars on, like the day before the show or earlier on the day, kind of thing. Do you try and get to the wrestling in Newcastle, for example, seminars.
If I could drive, I absolutely would do, but not being able to drive is a massive issue. But Rampage has done a seminar at UKW, and Joseph Connors has done a couple as well. So luckily through UKW, that's where I've met these two people and learned some stuff, and they've got me on their radar somewhat, so then they can recommend me or book me for their company or whatever as well.
Nice. That's the thing as well. I didn't know sort of the seminar situation with UKW. I know some schools do them, some don't. So yeah, if UKW are bringing people in, I know they have Joseph Connors. I don't know how regularly they do them. So yeah, if they're pulling in guys like Joseph Connors, if they're pulling in like Rampage, that's got to be. Again, I've spoken to a few people that have been to Rampage seminars, and they're just mind blowing. Basically, just I think I spoke to Kemper, and he said he was on like a 5-day one at one point or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like a 5-day training session with Rampage, and he said by day 5, everybody was just like, "Can we just watch a video or something, please?"
Yeah, worn out. Well, the Rampage seminar we had the night before was a steel cage match at UKW. I think that I'd faced Nina Samuels in it. And then the next day we had a 3-hour Rampage session, so we were all there like,
Again, though, another name, just throw it out. Yeah, I had a match against Nina Samuels. Probably like one of the top 5 people in the, the UK right now kind of thing. So, yeah, I've been in the ring with Nina Samuels. Yeah, it's just another day ending why.
It sounds like I'm dead confident, but the first time I had 2 matches with her, the first time I faced her, I left the venue and then threw up because I was that nervous. I'm really a nervous wreck.
Oh, she went all right though, because you said you had 2, so that was the first one. So obviously you got a second shot at it.
Yeah, the first one I think it was a non-title match, and if she beat me, she got a title match, and then the second one was in the cage. And another thing about we were about psychology, it was okay. I'm the heel here. Nina's a lot stronger looking than me, a lot more experienced. I can't beat her clean, but it's a cage match. Everything you're allowed to do everything. So how can I do that? And I worked with Jonathan at UKW, and he said, "Oh, you're in a faction. Get them to come out and handcuff her to the cage." And I was like, genius. So she's about to escape, and they come out and handcuff her and drag me out, and that's how I win. And she said to me at the time, she was like, "It's good that you did that because it makes the face look strong, but gets you over as the heel."
Exactly, yeah, because obviously you're the bread and butter for place. For like at that point, for UKW, you're the person the fans come on a regular basis to see, kind of thing. They're pulling people like Nino or Joe or Rampage as a name value, but they're not there all the time. It's important to get you guys over and doing stuff like that. Like I said, it protects her. But man, yeah, it makes you look gnarly. It makes you like the despicable heel. Be like, right, I'm coming back next week just to boo you extra loud for that because that was despicable.
And I love every bit. One of my goals as a heel is to get a drink thrown on me. Just like my title, go to my mum and be like, "Mum, I got a drink thrown on me."
Yes, that's it. Old school territory kind of heat.
Yeah.
Oh wow. It sounds weird, but yeah, fingers crossed. Hopefully, at some point, somebody will just throw a drink on you. And if next time you're in True Grit, they've got 3 bottles of water, I'll make sure I've got a glass of water or something, just a little bit, just go splash. I'll HT drink you. I'll just splash you with a bit of water.
And I'll be like, "Oh, you wasted your drink on me, ha ha ha." I don't know. I'd come up with something.
Like, it's free. But I won't say that because I'll be like, "Oh, damn it, boo." I'll look really sad and annoyed. Like, I'll go to the bar and get another one. So, but no, that is it. Next time, anybody watching, obviously, hopefully there's a few True Grit fans watch every episode. Next time Leonie's on a True Grit show, well, you know what to do. You know what the crack is now. It's a dream situation for a job is to be such a heel. You have a drink thrown at her. So
200 drinks thrown on me now.
That's it. You said it now. So yeah, next time at True Grit, I'm expecting you to come out at True Grit next time with like a freaking raincoat on or something, just in case like that.
Like, you can't get me, ha ha ha.
That's it. Boom. Instant heat. Everybody would be like, boo. So, right, just clock the time. I've kept you for longer than I said I would, so I apologise. But it's been awesome. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for just sitting down and talking for me, and yeah, just talking about wrestling and having a laugh.
No, thanks for having me. It's been a lot of fun. I was really nervous before I came on. I'm nervous about I promise I'm not a nervous wreck in my real life.
Just
but, yeah, but no, it was a lot of fun, and thank you for having me on.
Oh no, absolute genuine pleasure. Let people know where they can kind of hit you up on Instagram and the Leonie Rose page on Facebook.
So it's just Leonie Rose on Facebook. It's Leonie Rose PW on Instagram because I don't like numbers after my name on Instagram, so I put the PW. I do have a TikTok, and it's Leonie Rose PW again. I just post like clips on there because I'm not under 20, so I don't know how it works. I'd say yeah, those are the main three where you can find me on. Yeah.
Awesome. We'll tag you in our post as well. It'll be my boy Ash on Instagram. We'll probably drop you a message just to make sure everything's okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you're following Leonie, obviously on Instagram, please do so. Keep your eyes out for all future shows. If she's on a show near you, buy a ticket. If she's a face, cheer her. If she's a heel, get that drink ready. Just do what we need you to do. But as always, I'm going to say thank you for watching. Hit like, hit subscribe, share, comment, do all the generic stuff I ask you to do. And yeah, we'll be back on Friday with DJ King and Bobby Cash as we look at WCW 2000. We watch it so you don't have to. Leonie, thank you so much though again. Yeah, I'm just smart. I'm just happy. It's been fun, as I said.
It has been fun. No, thank you.
That's all right. So everybody else, thank you for watching. And remember, cheesy line incoming. Always work the left side. And we'll see you soon. Goodbye.